Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of Parlay Revival. So we were finally cruising in the Tuamotu Islands, a lot of cruisers' favourite place in the world. We were lucky enough to dive on the wall of sharks, which was probably the coolest dive I've ever done. This week, some of the crew open up about what it is really like to sail on Parlay as they leave to go back to their normal lives. We met up with some locals who took us spearfishing, which was fun until the sharks turned up, and Jamie also ended up in hospital. So I'm Colin, and this is the crew of Parlay Revival. From hurricane damaged to broken bulkheads and getting struck by lightning not once but twice, to being the strongest and fastest Lagoon 450 on the planet. We are now sailing 5,000 miles from Mexico to New Zealand, my home, before continuing our circumnavigation. So subscribe to follow our journey around this beautiful planet. 20 years from now, you'll be more disappointed by the things you didn't do than by the things you did. So what are you waiting for?
Morning everybody. We're at South Pass. Had an amazing dinner last night. Thank you to this one's father, Austin. Took us all out as a crew. The reason that he did that, I think, is because Colin is leaving, as well as Stephen and Brady. So it was a kind of a farewell dinner sort of a thing. But the airport is on the other side of the atoll, and this atoll is 30 nautical miles long. So it's going to be our first passage inside an atoll, which has its pros and cons. One of the pros is that it's going to be really nice and flat. We've got good wind today, it's like 20 knots, but one of the downsides is that there's bommies or reefs all the way through. And unfortunately we've woken up to an overcast morning. It's not ideal to not have the sun over the top of us. So a few challenges, but let me show you one thing. Last night Erica and Warren came over from We Sail, and they gave me all the charts that go onto a program called OpenCPN, and it is a satellite overlay of this whole area. And using the Predict Wind data hub, which is constantly picking up and putting out GPS position, we got my computer talking to that to enable a Mac to know where we are. So if you had a tablet or something, not an iPad but an Android one that has GPS built into it, Mac does not. So that's how it gets its signal. And there's also different tracks and just different charts you can download. So I feel actually quite confident. So you can see here there's a track marked for us right through the center of the atoll, and someone has gone through and marked every single bommy with a red dot. And so for example, this one here, when you zoom in on the satellite image, you literally can't see anything. So that is a bommy or a reef that's below the surface, but invisible from the satellites. But someone has gone past that, and it's been a few feet below the surface. So that's the concern. It's not these big bright ones that we can see even just sitting here 7 in the morning with bad light. It's these ones that are hidden just below the surface. The other option is to go out the pass again, which I'd be fine doing because we've already come in, and sailing around, but it's like 20 knots and 2 meter seas out there, so that would be a really shitty trip. And then on the other side you've got another pass to navigate to get back in. So I'm choosing to go straight up through the middle, but yeah, a lot of eyeball navigation, using the OpenCPN charts, using the satellite charts, but also using my iPad with Google Earth just to have a double backup, plus the chart plotter. So we're going to have a lot of things telling us how to get through this atoll. Knots out here. We're doing like 9 knots. We got 2 reefs in the main and a tiny little bit of head sail out, and we're absolutely flying. Thank God we got the charts from We Sail, because you can't see anything. It's all choppy and shit now. So just following his track exactly. Windy enough?
Yeah, super windy.
Had to go out with one last little bit of excitement, huh? Couldn't just have nice conditions today.
Is everything okay up here?
All jokes aside, the 20 knots forecasted was wrong by about a whopping 10 knots, which made for some extreme sailing conditions. This was less than ideal because bommies are much harder to see when the surface of the water is choppy. All of our cushions were wanting to blow off the boat as we sped through the atoll much faster than we wanted to be going. Hitting a reef at 5 knots is one thing, but hitting one at 9 knots would be absolutely devastating, especially under sail. But luckily for us, the wind started to calm down as we neared the north end of the atoll, and we were doing a much more reasonable speed. Until I saw what looked like to be something stuck in our prop.
So I went down to grab it and then it moved forward. I was like, what? And then it came back again and it was a tail. So I think it was a remora just cruising along at 5 knots with us.
He's coming up to see his buddies at the north end.
Hitchhiking at its finest.
Got this old line. I'm going to cut like 2 meters off. Then I'll tie it to the buoy, float, whatever you want to call it. That, and then that'll clip to the chain like that, and then that'll hold the chain off the coral.
You have to get in the water to do this, or?
Oh, I don't, but you might. No.
He's scared, clearly.
So we put these on to protect the coral because when we're anchored, this is all our backyard, so we have to protect it. So now we put out 100 feet of chain, so now I'm going to put one on about every 10 to 15 feet.
It's floating, eh?
Yeah.
The other two are gone. At least this lets people know that there's probably more ahead of it. North Pass, Fakarava, you can see the pass over there.
Where is it?
We made it successfully through our first atoll.
So as you know, Steve, Colin and Brady are leaving, but Steve's been on for a long time. He's been a long time patron of ours, but he is a big time Sailing the Hoa fan. And I happen to talk with Ben from the Hoa every now and then, so I messaged him and asked for a favor, and he sent a nice little video message for Steve. So I want to give this to Stephen tonight.
Stephen McLeod, how are you doing, sir? Yeah, I just wanted to touch base with you. I heard you're on a 4-day trip back home to Canada. Wish you all the best, man. I hope you had a really good time on board Parlay Revival. I'm sure you did. It's pretty hard not to, I would imagine.
I'm a big fan of the Hoa as well. I haven't met them, but
He
hopefully I
sent a
will.
nice little message for you.
Yeah. Yeah, I fly out in, I don't know, 3 hours or something like that. We're gonna go catch a drink at the bar and head to the airport. I never thought it would happen that I would be chosen, but I've experienced things and seen things that I wouldn't have been able to see any other way.
What's one thing you're gonna miss the most about being on the boat?
Oh, just the people. The people are family now. Don't even know what to say about it, actually. It's going to be a hard day.
I don't know where else you can get an experience like this. It's a great reset, and beyond that, it's just it opens your eyes to an amazing lifestyle. This was definitely out of my comfort zone when I was trying to book everything. I'm like, okay, shit, this is a big jump, but I'm so grateful that I did it. So if you ever get a chance to go sailing, especially on Parlay, you absolutely have to.
I'm so sad. It's always a sad day leaving Parlay. It's been such a great time. The first time Parlay was going to cross, I was supposed to go with them. So I've been waiting for this for years and years, and it's been a dream of mine ever since college, 10 years. So joining Parlay again this time was just so exciting. I was so excited to cross the biggest ocean in the world, and Colin inspired me to pursue my dreams and made me feel confident enough to buy my own boat. And I think after this experience, I'm so ready. It was so cool to be able to experience this ocean crossing with the 8 of us and even new crew that came after that. and I think we'll be friends forever.
See ya, guys. The Parlay revival.
Ooh. Good time.
To friends.
I'm calling Vince
Why?
because he bought around for us, and he's a good guy.
So it was a super nice gesture for Vince to send money for a round of drinks. If you've only just joined us, Vince was another patron chosen to sail across the Pacific with us, but had to go back to his life in California. Now we were losing 3 more crew members, and that feeling is hard to describe, especially after going through something so massive as sailing across the Pacific together. The bond that you form when sailing and living in these close quarters 24/7 is really unlike anything else, and I've been extremely lucky with the crew that have come on Parlay over the last few years, as Parlay attracts some of the best humans I've ever met. Losing one crew member always feels like a huge hit to the crew, but losing 3 at once is super tough.
Love you guys. Bye.
What a sad day. We've just lost Stephen, Brady, and Colin. You know, Chosen's a little bit older than us, but he just fit in with this crew like a glove. Just shows you guys, man, age is just a number. It doesn't matter. He just was a flawless crew member to have around. So, Steve, I know you're watching. Thanks so much, Chose. You were incredible, and you're welcome back anytime. Colin, same for you. You just help out around the boat so much. You're just priceless to have around here. So I know you'll be back. And Brady, I know Colin and yourself are best friends, so it was just so nice to see that friendship, and you were just another amazing soul to have around. So sad day to see you guys go, but such is life.
Later that night, we turned on the underwater lights and something incredible happened. A manta ray came right up to the boat feeding on plankton right in front of our eyes. We hopped in with it, and it didn't even care about our presence one little bit. The beauty of this creature is absolutely mind-blowing, and these shots do not do justice to the experience.
It's just like playing games with us. It's like spinning around and then it'll come back the other way, then it'll go down, then it'll do you like turn and come back.
That was the coolest thing I've ever seen in my entire life. His gills, the fish, his mouth opened up while I was diving down and he was diving up. And I was inside of his mouth. It was just incredible.
French Polynesia is one incredible place.
So today we're going to go back down to the South Pass because there's some surf coming, and the wind has dropped down. So even right now there's hardly any wind. So we're going to do some light wind sailing. But We Sail over there have got 2 identical spinnakers. So they've just brought one over, and we're going to both fly the spinnakers and run the lines in exactly the same way, and see whose boat is actually slightly faster than the other, whether it's a Helia 44, a Fontaine Peugeot, or a Lagoon, Jamie 465 we'll call it. So a little bit longer than a Lagoon 450.
I'm gonna get on that port side. Yeah. Because we're in a port tack. Are you guys ready? We're ready, bro. Should we just go? 3, 2, 1, go!
Hey, you guys are looking really good there. That's a beautiful sail you got.
We're off to a little bit of a shaky start, but going now. Looking good.
So this is what you call champagne sailing. A gentle breeze behind us gently pushing us downwind towards our destination. And to my surprise, Parlay turned out to be quite a bit faster than we sail, under identical sails and light air conditions. We're a whole lot heavier, and their spinnaker is actually undersized for our boat, but our Jamie 465 glided downwind at a beautiful 6 knots. But we were just happy to be sailing in the Tuamotus after all these years of planning. We had a feeling that this was going to be the highlight of our trip across the Pacific, and so far it was living up to every expectation and more.
We're new to this whole floating the anchor chain thing, never had to do it before. So we're still trying to figure out the spacings between our floats. We want to have a decent amount of chain on the seabed before we start floating it, so that we're not just like pulling directly on the anchor. You got some chain along the bottom, but this is all dead coral around here, so you got no choice but to lay over a bit of dead coral. But then you want to get the rest of the chain up so that if we swing, which we shouldn't because we got the trade winds just coming in pretty consistently, we're not just dragging it over all the rocks and snagging and stuff.
So as luck would have it, the trade wind stopped blowing their usual 20 knots that day, just as a nice 3-meter swell was rolling in. So the surf conditions were absolutely perfect. I couldn't believe my eyes as these beautiful clean lines of surf came peeling in one after the other. The only problem was that it was extremely shallow over a live coral reef, so it was a very advanced wave. The water was only a couple of feet deep in most places, and in some spots the reef was actually exposed out of the water. So one wrong move and you can end up seriously injured. Coral cuts are also prone to infection, as the coral is actually a living organism. But you know what? When conditions are like this, I simply cannot help myself. But I was definitely surfing on the cautious side of things.
Back in North Fakarava. So this is the main town in the whole atoll. And we've got a new crew member coming, Zoe. She's going to be here for a few weeks. I'm going to get rid of the rubbish. This is how we have to get rid of the rubbish. We have to wait until we get to somewhere like this and then offload it all at once.
So just as quickly as the old crew had moved on to their next adventures, we welcomed a new crew member, Zoe, who came bearing gifts.
Look at that! I think it's custard.
It looks like for a rabbit.
Fresh fruit and vegetables are extremely difficult to get in the Tuamotus, as the supply ships do not come out here very often, and when they do, all the fresh produce is literally sold out in minutes. So coming from a main island, Zoe was able to give the crew some much needed fruit and veggies.
I'm Zoe, and I'm originally from New Hampshire, but I've been between Australia and New Zealand for the last 5.5 years. Very limited sailing experience, but I've always wanted to learn. I've been out on like little Hobie cats and like sunfish and that sort of thing, but never on a big sailboat, so I'm really excited to learn and try to learn as much as I can while I'm here. I am looking forward to learning actually about how the boat works, but also just being able to get to some of the places that you really can't get to otherwise. I think that's like one of the best parts of being able to have a sailboat or a boat in general, is that there's so many little coves and other places that you would never get to see or things you won't get to experience otherwise.
So we've just picked up Mana and his wife. Mana is a friend of my friend Paul, and he's a local fisherman, and his wife was actually born here, so proper local in Fakarava. But we're gonna go see if we can have a look at the pass. We've never been to the North Pass. There's meant to be a lot of sharks there, maybe even a tiger shark out there. I've never seen a tiger shark before, so I'm kind of scared. And yeah, he just said big one. Let's go!
So unfortunately, the reefs in French Polynesia are riddled with a marine disease called ciguatera. But the ciguatera is actually related to the reef and not the specific species of fish. So one reef can have the disease and all the fish are affected, but you could go 2 miles down the line and the reef there is unaffected, so it seems to be a gamble anytime you fish for most of these reef fish species.
Getting all the stuff ready. We've got the Rob Allen spear guns. First time we've used them, so hopefully we can get something.
Okay, we're all gonna go spear fishing now. Well, some of us fishing, some of us watching nervously on Shark Watch. But yeah, last time I went spear fishing here was 10 years ago, not in this atoll, and we had to stop because there were too many sharks. So we're gonna go back out there now. We're gonna go on the outside of the pass and literally just over the other side of the atoll right here. So take a couple of GoPros and see what we see. It's really murky inside the lagoon, but it should be crystal clear out there.
So to have a couple of locals on board was priceless. And we were just going to target exactly what they knew was safe to eat. But almost as concerning as the ciguatera was the sharks who have come to learn the sound of a spear gun going off and almost always come screaming in to investigate. So the hunt was going well under the guidance of Manea and his wife, but as expected, the taxman soon came in to collect his share of the catch. But we managed to get one or two more of these unusual fish into the dinghy that we had never really seen out of the water before, so little did we know they had a razor-sharp fin on their tail, which ended up opening up Jamie's hand. So we packed it up for the day to try find Jamie a doctor.
So the fish has got like a tiny little spike on the back. I didn't know. And I've just reached out to grab the fish to put it in the cooler and it's kicked. And it's just sliced.
Is that what you expected out of your first snorkeling excursion with Parlay?
Yeah, exactly. Watching two sharks get a fish off of the line immediately and somebody cutting their hand on a fish.
No, I just saw all the way down. Never a dull moment. That's setting the scene for the rest of the trip, eh?
Yeah, I hope fewer accidents.
So that's what cut me, these little fins on the back. There's 4 of them. It's gonna hurt, the needles.
I'm sorry.
That was some fun.
Yeah. Oh, you could still feel it.
Trust Jamie to get injured by a fish, eh? He got beaten up by a fish this big. If you missed the episode, we were in Costa Rica with Trevor and Kerry. They got the big 62-foot balance yacht, catamaran, and he stepped down into one of the cabins and the deck plate was up and he fell straight into the hatch and it just went straight into his chin, cut his leg open like that long. And he had a sewing kit, like a stitch kit like this, but no anesthetics. So he just stitched his own leg up. Did a really good job too.
This is stinging now, like I feel soft. I hope you're not watching this, Trev.
So, is it for you?
Okay, thank you.
Give you this?
Amazing. I'd like to give a little shout out to these guys. That is absolutely free, really nice tidy job and unbelievable.
We won't be spearfishing for a couple of days.
What an ordeal. We were really lucky that Manea was with us because he called the nurse at the hospital and she stayed open for us. In fact, we were lucky there was any hospital at all because most of the atolls we had been to had absolutely no doctors. Just a nice little reminder about how remote we really are. Anyway, hope you enjoyed the episode, guys, and we'll see you next Sunday.